right, so welcome to How to Rock Twitter for Your Business. And the biggest thing that I've noticed with individuals when it comes to Twitter is people don't really know what to do with Twitter. So I think that many people, and I actually heard someone say this the other day, they're like, oh, Twitter's kind of dying. But the thing about Twitter is it's not really dying if you know how to use it. You know that it's an extremely valuable resource for your social media. All social media is not created equal. Every platform has their pluses, every platform has their minuses. Twitter, however, is, as you'll see here shortly, the best platform for you to do customer engagement. It is also the best platform for you to do brand reputation management, as well as an amazing platform for you to show your audience that you're staying up to date on current events. So that brings me to our lesson objectives. Here's what you're going to learn today. We're going to learn how to build a Twitter profile that attracts the right audience. Now, we're not going to spend a ton of time in building the profile because I'm pretty sure most of you know how to put a Twitter profile together, but you might not be using the right words. You may not know about keywords. So I'm going to kind of highlight that for you today. We're also going to dive into capitalizing on trends to keep conversations around your brand and keeping your brand relevant with whatever's going on with current events. We're also going to look at real-time social media versus scheduling, how they both can kind of coincide together for your brand strategy so you can offer that amazing customer service I know you guys offer for your businesses. And then we're going to dive a little deeper into how to use Twitter in your customer service and keeping your brand reputation to par. So let's get started. Okay. So during this training, I will actually have Twitter open, and you can use the hashtag Cultivate Livestream. I will not answer those questions during the course, but what I will do is after the class, I'll go into my Twitter, check what everybody has been asking the entire time, and then I'll make sure that I follow up with you promptly. That brings me to something I just remembered. Hold on, guys. See, that's the cool thing about today is we're all going to be relaxed. We're all going to be friends. So you're going to see me sometimes mess up too. And I actually forgot to open Twitter. So how funny is that? Doing a Twitter class without my Twitter account open. There we go. Okay. All right. So first you might want to ask yourself, so why use Twitter? Really? I know people who, they tweet often and they don't feel like they're getting necessarily the feedback that they want. So they're just trying to figure like, why am I using this platform? So here's really some of the key reasons why you'll want to use Twitter in your marketing strategy. One, it offers you great brand exposure. Twitter is a social vehicle that is followed closely by the media. So if you are a business or organization that does a lot of events, or if you have a product that you're launching, or if you simply want to get that media exposure, you'll want to be on Twitter for the simple fact that it's where the media is at. I mean, I actually used to have a young lady that worked for me for about 2 or 3 years. She actually helped me put this Twitter piece together many years ago, and we've been updating it together ever since. But her primary job she worked for a news station in Cincinnati, and her primary job was to sit on Twitter, see what was happening in the world, see what people were posting. That's how they stayed up to date on their current events. So with knowing that kind of insider information, you understand that Twitter can be an amazing tool for you to get your brand out there to the world. Twitter is also a great way for you to nurture that brand reach. Again, not just with the media, but with the rest of the world. Especially with other industry leaders that are, in your same industry. So, of course, I'm in the marketing industry and I go out on Twitter and I see all these other amazing marketing agencies tweeting all the time, and we can share ideas and we can, kind of cross promote one another. Maybe there's an agency that's doing something better than me, or vice versa. Like, who's doing something better than me, right? No, I'm just playing. But it's a way for us to kind of stay involved. It's also a way for me to share information from my favorite authors, because lots of authors and artists are on Twitter. So those are big demographics for them as well. Just kind of a side note, if you have a male audience, Twitter tends to be a male's go-to social media as well. So Twitter's a great place for you to kind of like touch up on guys, normally between the demographics of 21 and 40. So it's a good demographic for you to kind of catch up on that particular age group in the male demographic. Also, Twitter's a great way to engage your customers. There are many pages, and I will show them to you as we go along, that there are many national companies that have Twitter pages that are simply designated for customer service. So, we'll talk about those a little bit later here. Also, it's a great way for you to acquire brand leads. So there are many people out there on Twitter who will post information about things that they need. So they might tweet like, hey, I'm really looking for a great marketing company to help me with social media, or they might tweet, perhaps they are an agency themselves and they need someone to help bridge the gap on social media. I've made some partnerships that way. So I've partnered with other marketing agencies that perhaps are really good at strategic planning, or they're really great at advertising, but they're not so great at social media. And so they'll often tweet like, hey, looking for someone to help me with this social project. And I'm able to kind of like dive in and get those great leads. Also, it is a great way for you to participate in relevant trending topics. And that may not seem as important to you right now, but as we go along, you will see how capitalizing on those trending topics can move your brand from unknown to known very quickly. So here's just a couple little Twitter stats I thought would be nice for everyone to take away. Currently, there are 353.1 million monthly users. So I'm pretty sure that's not the signs of a dying social media platform. So, just keep that in mind. There are 2.1 billion search queries. And so the search queries they're just things that people go to Twitter to search for. Like, like they might search for makeup brands or automotive tips. And so that's what they're saying, is that Twitter is also being used as a search engine in some ways, the way that we use YouTube. We use other social media sources for search engines. There are 6,000 tweets sent each second, 500 million tweets per day, 200 billion per year. And the median tweet reaches 75% of its potential engagement in less than 3 hours. I will also tell you that unlike other social media platforms like Facebook, and Facebook's a whole nother class, but unlike social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter does not limit the view of individuals who can see from your business account. So, Facebook, which, like I said, again, it's a whole nother thing. They do limit the amount of individuals who could see posts on your account if you're not buying active ads. Twitter does not do that. So a lot of people will go to Twitter to get fast, quick information out, knowing everybody who follows them has the opportunity to see it. It's also important to post on Twitter multiple times a day. So this is usually where I lose the audience, because Twitter is not that post once a day and leave it type of platform. At the very least, if you have to post once a day, that's fine. But you really should be posting on Twitter anywhere between like 5 and 7 times a day. So I hope I didn't lose anybody right there, but that's the suggested amount of postings. All right, so setting up a profile on Twitter. So I have a couple of examples, and we'll then go to real Twitter so I can show you how to make those type of changes. But I have a couple of examples of the way profiles are set up on Twitter. So this is Chipotle. We all know what Chipotle is. But Chipotle uses an approach of a very simple bio. They're like their intro is very simple. It's just eat, tweeting, repeating. So you can kind of take that approach if you have let's say you're an author and you just simply want to tell people like the key points about you. You could say best-selling author, life coach, mommy. You can just use those simple words. Of course, everyone wants to put their URL here because you want people to go to your website. And I guess if you don't have a website, you'll probably need to see either me or Matt for that. And then you also, want to, create like a very visually appealing cover to go along with your look. Now, this Chipotle one, I didn't screenshot a cover, but I believe some of the next ones have it. Target takes a different approach. So Target, what I liked about them is that they're actually showing a page that has multiple pages. So this is the main Target page, see at Target. They've described themselves as, okay, expect more, pay less. That's their tagline, sharing Target feelings. That's what this page is for. So this page, they're telling you, we're going to use this page to share information about Target. But they're also telling you, for guest service questions, go to Ask Target. That's another page they've set up completely designated to their customer support. And that's where people can go and actually make, to have questions and make comments about products or services or whatever they need to do. So that's a really great example. And you can actually just use Twitter for your customer service. You could have just a, Ask Cat Bro page. And so then when they're on my other social pages, they know, oh, hey, if I have a question that I want Cat Bro to answer about their services or, experience that I had, I can go to Ask Cat Bro on Twitter. This page here is for an author. So this is like an individual who is an author and they want to maybe give more information about themselves. So I want you to take a look at how they describe themselves. They've put short words, keywords for them. Like that's basically what you want to do is like have these keywords. So they have auntie, that's cute, like, oh, favorite auntie. Latte lover, on a mission to eliminate the gender wage gap. Okay, so now we know what her hashtag is because she will probably in her page have multiple posts where she's posting hashtag gender wage gap or here, hashtag negotiate. She's telling you what her hashtags are. She's also telling you who she is. And she's pointing you to her company pages. So as a CEO, you can have your own page, like an @Katie page. And then I can say founder of @CatBro. That way, I can categorize the content that's coming into me. So I'll know, hey, if someone's on my CEO page, they're interested in me as a person. If someone's on my CatBro page, this is business related information. So just keep that in mind that you don't have to just have one type of account. This individual is also an author. And what I really wanted to kind of hone in on him is that on his particular page, he not only highlights who he is as a person, but also gives us like a link where we can kind of find out more about him. So you want to make sure, like, if you're going to use Twitter to promote not just your business, but yourself, that you're providing the links inside of the bio, as well as the links to your website. So let's actually head over to Twitter and we can look at how to make those changes. And we, like I said, we won't spend a ton of time in this area because I'm sure most of you know how to do, most of this. So on this page, this is my page, my personal page. So whenever it's Katie, my pages are always called @CatBro Live. So this is when people know they're talking directly to Katie. My business pages are usually Capro Ltd. And we have pages on Instagram and Facebook for that. But Twitter is kind of reserved for just me communicating about what's going on with me personally. And also I answer customer inquiries and tell them about things that, are happening inside the business, not necessarily products. I don't use my Twitter account for promotions. You certainly can. I just haven't, I don't choose to do that. So I just used a very short and sweet, tagline here, marketing with real results. There's a link to my profile here. It tells people, of course, the day that I joined Twitter. And then also, they can, see any kind of relevant hashtags that I'm using. This is basically like the hashtags that I use, like, hashtag marketing agency. We won an award. So of course we use hashtag award winning in that one. And we put, there's a couple members of my team there. And we put, as much information about ourselves in just that little post. Now going into, sorry, grab this document here. So going into the edit your profile page, where you would put all of that wonderful information is right here in the bio. So you would come up with whatever those words are that you want to say. Perhaps you have like an automotive company and you want to say, fixing fast cars for a great price or something like that. You can also put in here the key hashtags that you plan to use on the page. So let's say hashtag CEO life, hashtag Capro. Okay. And then you'll see that the hashtags that I applied are hyperlinked automatically. So if I'm going to use those on my page, when people hit hashtag Capro, they could just pull up relevant things that I posted. Okay. Also, if you go into the edit profile screen, you will see that you'll also be able to apply a cover. I did apply a cover related to the company because we were doing a summer website sale. And then, you can put your profile picture here, which you could use your company logo or you can use your personal face. It depends on how you use the page. If you go down a little bit more, you'll be able to tell people the location you're at. This is where you fill in the website, and of course, self-explanatory. This is where you would add your date of birth if you want people to know that. I actually add the date of the company, so I don't choose to add my personal date of birth, because it's 40 something. So I don't want to age myself that much. Okay, so I think we're all pretty familiar with how to set up a basic Twitter bio. We understand the different styles that we can do those in. I think we also understand that we can use different Twitter accounts for different options. So let's dive into the next step of our training here. Oh, actually, I don't want to miss this one. So this is one of my favorite Twitter accounts is Wendy's. If you have never gone to Wendy's Twitter page, please do that. You will laugh, laugh, laugh. It is an absolute joy. They are so funny. And they even tell you in their bio that they're going to be funny on this page. So it says, we like our tweets the same way we like to make hamburgers, better than anyone expects from a fast food joint. So I think that, I always just love when I see that on a social media page where someone is telling you what you could expect out of the page. And it's generally the way I teach clients to do their social media. If you're going to use Facebook for training and education, let the visitors know, hey, on my Facebook page, you're going to find training resources, downloadable documents, blase, blase. If what Twitter is going to be used for customer service purposes, then it's wonderful to say like, hey, ask me any question you want. This is the right social media source. And when you kind of give your social media different jobs like that, they work a lot better for you. It's not enough to just post the random content across all the platforms. You really want the platforms to have their own job, okay? So I want you to take we'll take maybe a minute and a half. I'll check the clock. I'll give you 2 minutes because I'm nice. To write a bio in 3 different ways. You have 160 words to work with in your bio, and that's all the bio is going to give you anyway. So explain what you do. Do a social proof bio, which is the bios I was showing you that actually have like your hashtags and those kind of things in there. Your personal bio, that's a little bit more like that author, and the keyword specific bio. So those would be the bios where, I'm sorry, I'm flip flopping. So the social proof bio would be the bio where maybe you had a second bio that was designated for customer service or something else. So you know, if I had one that said like Katie, you know, marketing with real results for questions asked at Katie, ask Katie or something like that. And then the keyword specific ones are the ones kind of like what I just showed you that actually have your keywords that you plan to use in your hashtags. So just take a moment to go through them. If you have any questions on what each one of those kind of bios mean, let me know. But you have 2 minutes to write a bio in 3 different ways. And I'm just currently flashing on the screen the different bio types. So for a little inspiration, if that helps anybody out. Okay, let's go ahead and continue. Is there anyone that had any questions about that section before I move on? I don't want to leave anyone lost at any time. And remember, if you have questions, you can use the little like hand icon to ask questions. There's also a Q&A panel too. Okay. All right, let me reduce this. All of these little things always get in my way when I'm on my screen. Like, why are there so many things up here? Okay, so the next kind of chapter in this training is why schedule content. So content scheduling is something that I like to do. I like to do it because there are sometimes when I'm just far too busy to stop and make a tweet. But I know that the tweets are necessary. I know that the postings on Facebook and Instagram are necessary, but I'm too busy and my life is just kind of crazy. It also gives me a chance to be able to interact more as a social media manager than to worry about what post went out. So it serves a lot of purposes, and I've listed a couple of them here. So one, it saves you time and money. Now, it saves you money because one, you don't have to stop what you're doing, which is your money making activity, to make a post. It also saves you money because if you are able to hire an agency who will do a certain amount of scheduled postings for you, as well as a certain amount of live postings, then you don't have to necessarily hire an individual person whose complete job is to just post on social media all day. And that's, that can be very costly to hire a staff member like that. So that's why sometimes you're able to just hire like an agency that can do those types of things for you. It allows social media managers to engage with fans. And this is really the primary reason why I use scheduled postings, Because if I'm busy talking to a customer or a potential customer, or just someone who happens to be a Katie fan, then I don't also want to have to worry about what time the next post goes out. If I'm communicating back and forth, I don't want to stop and say, "Oh, sorry, it's 2 o'clock. I got to post my next post." The post is already happening. It does force you to think about the content in advance so that you're making wise decision about your content. You're also making sure that you're spelling things correctly. That is terrible thing that happens all the time to businesses where they are not kind of thinking about what they're posting, and they're posting things with the wrong spellings or the wrong use of the word there, or there. It diminishes the brand, when people are like, "Hey, I'd really like to buy this, service from me, but you can't really spell." So, you want to be mindful of what you're doing. It also helps you not to forget things. So if you're scheduling certain types of post out, like holidays, you don't have to wake up on Christmas morning and say, "Oh my goodness, I forgot to post for Christmas." The Christmas post is already done. So there should be like a healthy balance between the postings that you're scheduling and also the postings that you're doing live. It allows you to also have awareness for certain initiatives that are related to your business. I don't know if many of you know, but this month is actually um, Black Business Month. So because this month is like Black Business and Black Enterprise Month, many African American owned businesses are actually having scheduled content to go out each month that talk about other African American individuals who are in business. So, it might talk about the history of, it's a famous, entrepreneur or something like that, just so that they know, hey, we're up to date with what is going on. Women in Business Month is coming up. There's so many things going on. If you have a social service type industry, that October is Domestic Violence Month. You want to make sure that you stay abreast of those things that are happening in the world, and those are where your scheduled postings can come in. It also helps you make sure that you're addressing all of your platforms. So if you're like me, like I have one that's kind of like a favorite for me. Twitter is one of my favorites. It used to be my absolute favorite, but I've kind of like moved over to Instagram, and I've become kind of an Instagram junkie. So I spend lots of time on Instagram, and then I forget, "Oh shoot, I didn't post on Twitter." So scheduling posts allows me to stay active on all of my platforms, just in case I happen to forget to post on one of them. So here's a little pop quiz. What is the average lifespan of a tweet? And I would like you guys to put them in the chat, but I don't know if this functionality has chat. So just write it down somewhere on a piece of paper, and you'll know if you're right. You'll just have to like be proud of yourself silently. So the average lifespan of a tweet is 18 minutes. That means if you are tweeting something, you basically have 18 minutes before it falls to the bottom of the Twitter page. Because Twitter feeds are extremely fast, and 18 minutes is actually generous because it used to be a little shorter than that. But Twitter is very fast. And when people are looking at their Twitter feeds, it's not so much like Facebook where you could see something that somebody posts at 8 o'clock in the morning. No, when you go on Twitter, everything that people are posting happened within the past half hour to an hour. I mean, and before you know it, you can't even go back and find your own post unless you go back to your own page. So I say that to emphasize the importance of multiple postings throughout the day on Twitter, and also being able to engage people, because on Twitter, you will get feedback very quickly. And so you do want to make sure that you're staying on top of it, because you have about 15 minutes really to respond to a person before they're just no longer interested in talking about it anymore. So here's a couple general rules to consider when choosing to use Twitter. One, your location matters. If you're trying to reach a global audience, creating a Twitter handle for each region is a great idea. And you want to use social media management tools to help you run all of those platforms. So be sure to create social media reports. And it's actually quite easy to do this because you can create social media calendars so that you know what types of things are going on those various pages. Much like Cultivate. Like Cultivate has various locations. So Cultivate could have a Twitter account for each and every location because the things you're going to post on those pages are going to be relevant to what's going on at that particular location. Um, so what Matt would have to do is create like a social media calendar of, hey, here's what's going to go on in London, here's what's going to go on in Grove City, here what's going to go on in Columbus, those kind of various pages, of what is happening in that particular area that he's targeting. And Twitter does give you access to analytics. So, and I can always show you that, during this training. There, you will have access to analytics. So you'll be able to pull up what is performing best in which area. So you want to make sure that you know what gets the most traction. It could be that a Columbus audience is more appealed to perhaps like current events that are happening in the city, whereas perhaps like the London audience might be more into the trainings and the workshops. So you just want to, see, hey, this is what my audience likes on this page. You also want to use the right tool. There's many, many tools out there that you can use to help you auto schedule things, such as Hootsuite, CoScheduler, and Buffer. I used to use Hootsuite for years, so I have great things to say about it if that's the platform that you choose. We now have a proprietary system that was built for us that we have our clients use. But Hootsuite, if that's something that you want to use, Hootsuite is a great resource. It's absolutely free for the first 3 platforms. I think you can put like 3 of them on there. And then, after that, it's like maybe $14 a month. So it's something to look into. I don't know too much about CoScheduler, but I did use Buffer for years for Instagram. So it's a really great Instagram tool. And Buffer and Hootsuite both also have built-in calendars. So you can actually map out in both of those platforms what you're going to post each day. And then you go back in and put the time that you want to post it. So they're awesome tools. And if you want to pull analytics across all of your platforms, they're great tools for that too. You also want to know your audience. So you want to know, how old are they? Where do they live? What do they like to do for work? What is their community like? What do they do in their free time? You want to answer these questions even prior to choosing the social platform that you're going to make your primary social platform. But you also want to know these prior to setting up your Twitter account, because you want to set your Twitter account to target that particular market. But if we were doing kind of a social media overall class, I would tell you, you really should know that even before you decide which social platforms are right for you, because you don't need to be on all of them. I mean, you really don't. You want to choose the ones that are going to match the audience that you're trying to reach at the time. All right. Oh, this is just my little quote. Okay, so what's real-time marketing? Real-time marketing is basically live tweets. So it's, if I'm out on the corner of Broad and High, it's me taking my phone, taking a picture of the Broad and High sign and tweeting in the center of the city and posting it out to the world. It's real time what I'm doing right now. So the benefit of real time marketing is it's organic and it's real. Like it's I'm trying to use a really great word for it. Like obviously it's real, but it's a kind of it leaves people like with that insider type of view. So they're thinking, wow, I'm following the company around. I'm following the CEO around. I'm getting a kind of voyeur type view into their life. And that is very appealing to individuals on social media. You can't imagine how many times I'm surprised at the plates of food that are liked and shared on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm just like, people just, does not everyone eat? Everybody needs to look at everyone else's plate. But it is kind of like we've become kind of voyeurs. That's kind of morbid, but we become like these people that just sit around and think like, what's it like to be inside their office? What's it like to be that person? And so real time marketing allows your audience to see what's it like to be you. Like, what's it like to follow around the cat or the CEO of Catbro or the CEO of Cultivate or whatever agency that you have. And that's what's bringing the audience. So you might as well do it. So here's something that I want to show you about kind of like that real time marketing. So I know you guys remember this whole dress debacle that happened about, I don't know, maybe it's about 4 years now. It's been a while. And so people were seeing either gold and white, or they were seeing blue and black. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I completely don't understand those who saw blue and black. So, but I'm not saying you didn't. I just don't understand it. However, that was a golden opportunity to do some real time marketing. And Dunkin' Donuts saw that opportunity. So they said it doesn't matter if it's blue, black, white, gold, they still taste delicious. And they combine that with their product. So, even for me, like we do logos and those kind of things, I could put a logo up in blue and black and one in gold and white. And I could have said, like, doesn't matter if you want your logo in blue or black or gold and white, they're still going to come out fabulous because Catbro designed them. I could, kind of play off of what's happening in the world. And that's what's so relevant about real time. It not only, not only just for that whole insider look that I just spoke to you about, but also to show that you're a brand that keeps up with relevant content that's happening every day around the globe. So here's another one I like. This is the whole Pharrell Williams Arby's hat thing that he wore to the Grammys. So Arby's tweeted, "Hey Pharrell, can we have our hat back? Hashtag Grammys," which I thought was hilarious at the time. And this hilarious tweet ended in some major results. So from that one tweet, they received 1,440 plus placements and 120.8 million daily impressions in the category of pop culture, urban life, national consumer entertainment. I mean, they were everywhere. The Wall Street Journal recognized Arby's tweet to Pharrell as the second best pop culture moment in 2014. Also, there was a huge business impact to them when their percentages went way up in sales because all of a sudden they were just front of mind. So if I'm driving down the street and I'm like, oh, there's Arby's. And I turn to my friend like, you remember when they posted that funny thing about Pharrell? Let's go check out the roast beef. You never know what'll put you in front of mind for people. And then also like on a traditional media results, national media marketing experts and online influencers also took notice of Arby's engagement around Pharrell Williams' hat, calling it one of the top marketing moments of 2014. So just that tiny little tweet, 140 characters, just gave them huge results based on them staying relevant or staying up to date with what was relevant at the time. Now, I know we have a lot of media going on and not all of it is maybe tweet worthy for you guys, but you got to find the small funny moments and things. You got to find the enjoyable moments. People remember when you bring them laughter. They remember when you make them feel something, any emotion, laughter, pain, sadness, joy, you have to make people feel. So if you find something that you can connect your brand with, that people are already emotionally engaged with. Even like the Grammys, people emotionally engage with the Grammys. It's a source of entertainment. Maybe they're excited for their favorite singer to win, and they just capitalize on that emotion that was already happening. So this is just, it's another peek into how you can engage using Twitter. So there's another case study I'm going to run by you guys. And this is one a little bit older, and I'm not sure everybody remembers it, but this was when they had the blackout during the Super Bowl. And Oreos really, 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 their team just went to work on this one. So they just made a simple post that said, "Power out, no problem." And their little comment here is, "You can still dunk in the dark." So let's take a look at a short video about that incident.
The office of the CFO is changing. Finance functions must transform from fiscal protectors to champions of innovation and growth. Accelerate your transformation.
All right.
How the Super Bowl blackout last night helped Oreo brand shine brightly. We're going to discuss that now. Sarah Hofstetter, president of 360i, was behind Oreo brand shining brightly. Well done on that. The lights go out, and then you were there. Tell us the scene and what you did to help Oreo really seize the moment.
Well, Oreo was already an advertiser in the Super Bowl, so our team was all gathered at the office, waiting and listening to the conversation that was happening and ready to capitalize and optimize the campaign in real time. So when the lights went out, everybody was together and ready to get moving on it. And the first thing that came was, "Hey, this is an opportunity. The entire world is watching and there's nothing on." So quickly, everyone pulled together a design, a caption. The folks from Oreo were in the room, and we got something out in just a few minutes.
Now, just a few minutes. Exactly how many minutes was it? Because there's just a few minutes can mean a lot of things. It can actually mean an hour. It could mean 2 minutes. What was it?
Well, the post itself went out 10 minutes after the blackout hit. We were actually minutes before that. So after 5 minutes, we had the design, the caption, and everything ready to go. But we also...
Okay, so I wanted to show that part about how many minutes it took, because here's the thing. Oreo already knew in advance that they were going to be an advertiser at the Super Bowl. So they have their entire marketing team. And I know you guys don't have entire marketing teams just yet, but if you know that you're a part of something, or if you know something is happening, you still can have that spur of the moment kind of activity. But Oreo had their entire marketing team just kind of sitting there waiting, like, "Hey, we want to see our ad," so that they could probably tweet something amazing about their ad. All of a sudden, the entire Super Bowl goes flat, and their team has to think fast, like, how are we going to capitalize on this moment? And then they came up with a slogan, a graphic, and a post in 10 minutes. So that's kind of how on top of things, and how fast things work on Twitter. So that moment made them major results. So that particular post was retweeted 15,000 times within the first night. Their Twitter following increased by 8,000 followers. Their Facebook post received 20,000 likes. Instagram followers increased from 2,000 to 36,000, which 2,000 is kind of low for Oreo, but oh well. And then also the phenomenon was a part of a Daily Twist campaign that continued from there. And so they were able to actually take it even further and make it into a different campaign that they use, after that. So here are some types of real-time marketing that you can kind of be a part of. So there's the planned marketing, which is much like the Oreo. So you know a lot of information about the event prior to it happening. And then you can schedule some content beforehand, like the Oscars or the Grammys. And then there's opportunistic marketing, which I'm sorry, that one is more like the Oreo. The first one is more like the Pharrell Williams. The opportunistic marketing is, you know, an event's going to happen, but something unexpected also happens, like the Oreo incident, and you take advantage of the unexpected. Then there's the watch list, which is, you know, something will happen, but it hasn't happened yet. It may result in one of two options. So I put an example, the royal baby birth, and that was for the birth of Harry and Meghan Markle's child. Like, you know, it's happening, but you maybe don't know if it's a boy or a girl. So you kind of wait for the results so that you can take advantage of, you know, that opportunity. And then your everyday, which is, you don't really know what will happen. Sometimes things pop up unexpectedly, like the dress debacle. And then you just say, oh, let me make a post about it because I heard this on the news this morning. I would encourage you to only equate your brand with the more lighthearted things you hear in the news. But, you know, I heard this on the news this morning. Let me go ahead and play on that on my Twitter account. So here's an activity for just a few minutes, and I'm probably just going to narrow it down to probably like 2 to 3 minutes. You'll be shown, well, I should say in the next few minutes, you'll be shown 2 different scenarios of events, and I'm going to give you about 2 to 3 minutes to make your responses to that. So after the last scenario, you have approximately 3 minutes to determine how your brand can be a part of the conversation of the 2 scenarios that I'm about to show you. All tweets must include a hashtag and a photo. Now, because we have limited time and we're in a webinar type setting, I'm not going to hold you to the photo, but I will hold you to the hashtags. I think you can come up with some pretty cool hashtags. All right, so here is the first scenario. And I actually have this queued up already. Let me get this out of my face. There we go. Number 1, and I'm sure we all remember that. And then here's scenario number 2.
Colombia! I have to apologize. The first runner-up is Colombia. Miss Universe 2015 is Philippines.
Okay, so that's scenario number 2. So I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to come up with 2 tweets that you can relate your brand to those 2 scenarios in either a lighthearted way and maybe a serious way. But it has to be a way that matches your brand. So it can't just be, you know, like, hey, did you see what happened? You know? So it would have to be, it would have to be something that matched your brand. So I'm gonna give you guys that moment, and then we'll move on, because I want to make sure that I'm respectful of time and that we, you know, continue to flow. Now, if it helps anyone, I'll share the Kanye one that I came up with. So I came up with, so we do a lot of like print work. So we do a lot of like design work for printing and everything. So I came up with one about Vistaprint. So it was like, hey, Vistaprint, your business card looked amazing, but Catbro had one of the best business card designs of all time. So obviously I'm not gonna like shout out Vistaprint, but that was one that we came up with in the office and we just thought that was pretty fun. So just so you guys have your morning laugh. Right. So you guys can keep rolling. I just know that it's like we're nearing 10:30, so I want to keep going. So you guys keep on with that. You'll just be hearing me in the background. So sometimes the biggest social opportunities are those that we don't plan for. 60% of marketers note that they struggle to personalize content in real time, yet 77 believe that real-time personalization is critical. Consumers are 22% more likely to consider a brand as a result of real-time marketing, because of course they're already paying attention to the incident anyway. So if they see your brand pop up, they're definitely gonna take advantage of that. One of the more recent examples I can see is like the Bernie Sanders mittens thing, like everybody was on that, big brands, small brands, everyone was on that, and they all got big results. The real-time marketing can also be used to promote events, form customer relationships, increase engagement, and identify brand advocates online. Social media management tools. Posting in real time all the time is not cost effective and can waste organizations' time and money, which is why we spoke earlier about you having a strategy for that scheduled content. Using social media management tools allows social media managers to focus more on engagement. Social media management tools can range from free to hundreds of dollars a month. I side on the side of free, which is why I gave you the example of Hootsuite, which will allow you to have up to 3 social platforms on it for free. We talked about the most common ones already. Social media management platforms also include analytics report tools, as I explained earlier. And so they're a really great resource for you to be able to see analytics across all of your platforms. So since we're nearing the end, I definitely didn't want to look over the customer service piece. We just went through 2 other pieces. We went through understanding how to put together the bio and making your page stand out a bit more with a well-crafted bio, as well as cover picture and a profile icon, sorry. And then we moved into real-time versus scheduled postings and how you can leverage both of those for your brand. And now we're moving into the customer service and brand management piece, which is very critical to in one of the primary tools for using Twitter. So if you're a part of an organization that does not have a designated social media manager, it's important to delegate the task to someone with the most marketing experience. And sometimes in small business, it's you, for a while, all of this may be you. Although everyone is not always a social media manager, it is essential for there to be a basic skill level of understanding, which is why you're here today. I'm saying this to also let you know that even if you are a team of me and there's only just that one person, you still should begin to write social media etiquette and social media procedures as far as like an employee handbook for if you have that time when you're able to bring someone else on the team, they understand how to engage your brand in social media, especially when it comes to Twitter. There should be an employee handbook on conduct online, as well as social media guidelines for those who are managing the specific accounts. Social media can sometimes be the first and the last impression for customers. Be very considerate of who you let manage your social media. Letting the right person manage your social media can result in sales and great customer engagement. Letting the wrong person manage your social media, especially if there's no preset guidelines, could result in extreme embarrassment and reputation damage. So we have the domino effect, and this is a video that I really want you to pay attention to. It was made by a private employee, but it affected Domino's entire brand.
With Squarespace, editing and adding pieces on my...
Sorry, YouTube ads. Yuck.
Here's Michael. Achoo! Cutting somebody's cheesesteak. That's big one. Now, we must put stickers on there. And then we'll watch him box it and then send it out onto the heat rack to be served to some unlucky customer that's in need of some snot. Yes, I said snot. Michael is such a great star. Yes, he is. Okay, let's get one. Put a shot, put a shot. Michael, I think we work well together. We should open up our own restaurant. You know how many people would come to it?
You know how long it takes to get shut down?
Less than 24 hours.
So although, as you saw in the video, you saw an example of a young man sneezing on someone's breadsticks and then randomly, kind of putting them in the mix of the other breadsticks that were there. So some unsuspecting customer, in the video, it says it's going to get snot on their breadsticks. Now, clearly you can see that this is an irresponsibly made video, and it's made by just two people clowning around at work, and they may have not even ever put the breadsticks in the mix. But for Domino's brand, this was detrimental to their brand because these people were on Facebook, their locations were tagged, Domino's brand was tagged, and people were afraid, like genuinely afraid to order something from Domino's locations, thinking they had other employees like this. And so this is a major crisis for Domino's. They need to figure out, how are we going to fix this? Obviously, those two people were fired. So we didn't see the rest of the video where the commentator talks about the, Domino's firing the people, but they were absolutely fired. However, Domino's has damage control to do online. And so Twitter was the place they chose to do their reputation brand management, and they made a good move in doing that, because Twitter is the way you get information out very fast and you kind of get in front of things like that. So what are some examples of what you've seen a social media crisis from public figures or businesses? Just think about it in your own head. Like, how have you seen them bounce back? First, they have to issue like an apology, right? They have to take responsibility for what's happening, correct? And then they need to put procedures and policies in place to make sure that that never happens again. So if you were the Domino's manager, or the CEO, I'm sorry, how would you have handled this situation? What would you have done in a situation like this? So let's see what he did do.
Hello, I'm Patrick Doyle, president of Domino's USA. Recently, we discovered a video of two Domino's team members who thought that their acts would be a funny YouTube hoax. We sincerely apologize for this incident. We thank members of the online community who quickly alerted us and allowed us to take immediate action. Although the individuals in question claim it's a hoax, we are taking this incredibly seriously. This was an isolated incident in Conover, North Carolina. The 2 team members have been dismissed and there are felony warrants out for their arrest. The store has been shut down and sanitized from top to bottom. There is nothing more important or sacred to us than our customers' trust. We're re-examining all of our hiring practices to make sure that people like this don't make it into our stores. We have auditors across the country in our stores every day of the week, making sure that our stores are as clean as they can possibly be and that we're delivering high quality food to our customers day in and day out. The independent owner of that store is reeling from the damage that this has caused. And it's not a surprise that this has caused a lot of damage to our brand. It sickens me that the actions of 2 individuals could impact our great system, where 125,000 men and women work for local business owners around the US and more than 60 countries around the world. We take tremendous pride in crafting delicious food that they deliver to you every day.
So as you can see from his response, here are the key takeaways is 1, he took complete responsibility for the actions. He explained how the individuals were being handled in terms of, what repercussions they suffered. They were fired. There were criminal charges being brought against them. He also went as far as to say, listen, that particular incident is isolated. We've not had incidents like that in the past. However, to ensure we never have any incident like that in the future, we have our facilities sanitized and we have new cleaning procedures. And so that's really what it takes. If you find that your brand is in trouble, and I do apologize earlier, I thought it was Facebook Live, but it was YouTube, my apologies. But you take to social media, you go to social media. Twitter is the best place to go and get those real-time tweets going so people see, especially the media, because see, that's what, if you have a brand reputation issue, you want to take to the media, want the media to pick it up so that they can help you in fixing the issue. You take to social media and you offer your statements, and the formula is really just that: apologize, correct, move forward. I mean, that's the formula. In any like brand reputation management course that you ever take, and I do encourage you guys to take one at some point, that's going to be your formula there. So an estimate of $41 billion is lost by US companies alone each year due to poor customer service. 67% of consumers have used a company's social media channel for customer service, which is why I was also mentioning using Twitter to answer customer questions and concerns. 42% of customers expect a response within 60 minutes. 57% of customers expect the same response time at night. It doesn't matter. They don't care if it's the weekend or night. They're not waiting for Monday morning. When you commit to social media, you are committing to being available for your customers' responses 24 hours a day, which is often why people end up hiring an agency or something to do it. Nielsen ratings have found that 33% of customers prefer to contact brands using social media rather than the phone. And that is 100% true, because even I do that. 1/3 of consumers admit they would retaliate against the brand online, post a review, or complain via social media. Customers who encounter positive social customer experience are 3 times more likely to recommend a brand on social media. So when it comes to a problem where you or your company is in the wrong, it's important, again, to do a quick apology, which we kind of went through this procedure. Don't take it personally, apologize, and then take whatever was the offensive video or post, take it offline immediately. And you also want to maybe cancel any events or any other scheduled postings for a few days. You want to just kind of let things cool down. After you offer your apology post, just let everything cool down for a few days. Don't post anything else, in addition there. And so that's what this is, the customer service emergency plan. Pause scheduling social media posts, pause paid ads on social media channels, because definitely you don't want to have like running ads and you have negative press. Pause any marketing emails, assess planning, blogging, and campaign schedule for appropriateness. Create blog entries addressing the situation that's needed, and then provide talking points for executives as needed. You want to also check all content for relevant references that may be offensive or rude. And this is like, if you are pre-scheduling things, you have more control over like what goes out than maybe live tweets. So that's why you want to make sure that you're telling the people on your team, hey, these are the things that are acceptable and these are the things that are not. A lot of things can happen on accident. I mean, people don't mean to be offensive, but they may say something on accident that does offend another, and you do have to take responsibility for that. So before we go, I want to show you one last oopsie that happened on Twitter for a brand. And this really could happen to anybody. So you really want to make sure that when you're tweeting things, you're very socially conscious of what's going on.
Before you jump into a hashtag, make sure you know the context, especially if you're a brand. Hey, I'm Jillian on Buzz60. DiGiorno Pizza is facing the wrath of the internet after tweeting hashtag why I stayed. You had pizza. It would be harmless if why I stayed wasn't about domestic violence. After the release of that horrifying video showing Ray Rice knocking out his then fiance, now wife, Janae, some are wondering why she would continue to be in a relationship with him. Domestic violence is a serious and at times complicated issue. So people took to Twitter and showed solidarity using the hashtag why I stayed. The reasons range from physical threats to feeling too embarrassed to ask for help. Unfortunately, DiGiorno didn't do research before tweeting, since there's so much pressure for brands to be vocal on social media. Now, the usually very funny and engaging Twitter feed is filled with apologies. DiGiorno is pretty good at Twitter, so they're handling this epic fail the best way possible, acknowledging it, accepting blame, and sending out heartfelt personal tweets, as opposed to auto-replying. And when it comes down to it, a careless tweet followed by an instant apology is still better than this.
I think the message is take the stairs. The message is when you're in an elevator, there's a camera.
Buzz60, now you know, pass it on.
Introducing.
Sorry. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I showed you that piece too, because I realized I skipped that slide earlier. But that incident, I think, could really happen to anybody. You could jump on the back of any hashtag that you aren't sure of what's happening behind it. So before you do that, do a little hashtag research and figure out what's going on before you jump into, a Twitter bandwagon and end up on the wrong side. So during this course today, we learned how to set up our profiles, our bios and our profiles to make them more appealing. We learned how to, the comparison between real-time posting versus scheduled posting, and how to use current events to monetize our brand. We also looked at how to provide customer service and brand reputation management using Twitter. So are there any questions? Because this Twitter course is it's a robust class that I had to condense into like an hour. So if there's any question, I completely understand. If you have questions afterwards, you can go ahead and email me at kbperson@catbroconsulting.com. You can also, use that hashtag that I mentioned earlier. And that hashtag, I used it earlier in the slide, is hashtag cultivate live stream. And I will go to Twitter and I will answer them as soon as we're done with the workshop today. If you are interested in anything about working with me in the future or attending any of my other classes, we do have Instagram crash courses coming up, and crash courses are strict 30-minute classes where we focus on one area on a subject matter. So people kind of like those a lot. And you can get access to those by going to catbroconsulting.com.